Most people waste $600 on OLED monitors and don't even notice the difference. Because when you compare a cheaper OLED, like the AOC Q27G4, to a premium ASUS ROG Swift OLED, the gap is much smaller than most people expect. Right now, OLED feels like the premium choice you can spend around $400, or go beyond $1,000. So the assumption is simple: more money means a much better experience. But that's where people get it wrong. The biggest upgrade already happened the moment you chose OLED. That is the part a lot of people miss. At the center of this comparison, both of these are still OLED monitors. That means both give you the things people actually want OLED for: deep black levels, ultra-fast response times, rich colors, and that clean, high-contrast look that makes everything feel sharper and more premium. So, even the cheaper monitor already delivers the signature OLED experience. That matters a lot, because when the foundation is already this strong, the expensive model is no longer trying to become good, it is trying to become better. And better does not always mean worth triple the money. So what are you really paying for with the ASUS ROG Swift OLED? This is where the premium tier starts to show its strengths. You're getting higher brightness, stronger HDR, faster refresh rates, and a more refined overall experience. So yes, the expensive monitor absolutely is better. That part is real, but here is the key point. It is better in specific areas, not in a way that makes the cheaper one feel outdated. And that changes the buying decision completely. Brightness is one of the biggest differences. The ASUS gets much brighter, which makes it immediately more impressive side by side. In a bright room, that extra brightness helps a lot, giving the image more presence and a more vivid look. HDR is where the premium model really pulls ahead. Highlights have more intensity. Small bright details stand out more. Light sources look more realistic. The cheaper AOC still looks good, especially compared to typical IPS or VA displays. But beside the ASUS, it looks more limited, so if HDR matters to you, the expensive option has a clear edge. Now here is where things get interesting. When both monitors are brought closer together in brightness and settings are adjusted properly, they start to look surprisingly similar. Not identical, but close enough that most people would never guess one costs so much more than the other. That is the twist. The expensive monitor wins on paper, and it wins in certain real-world situations. But the overall visual gap is still much smaller than the price gap. That is where people overspend. They see the premium label, assume the experience must be dramatically better, and end up paying for differences they may barely notice in everyday use. For gaming, both are already excellent. The cheaper AOC gives you OLED speed, smooth motion, and a high refresh rate experience that already feels fantastic. The ASUS goes much further with extremely high refresh rates, and that does matter for serious competitive players. If you play fast shooters and care about every possible advantage, that upgrade has value. But for most people, once you are already using a fast OLED panel, the gains start to shrink. You can feel them, but they are not game-changing. That is an important distinction, because the premium model is not fixing a weakness, it is refining something that is already very good. So who should actually consider the ASUS ROG Swift OLED? It makes sense if you want the highest brightness, better HDR, top-tier motion clarity for competitive gaming, and a more premium design with extra features. In those cases, the higher cost becomes easier to justify. But that does not mean it is the right choice for everyone. For most people, the AOC Q27G4 OLED is the more exciting option, because it gives you the part that matters most: the OLED experience itself. You still get deep blacks, instant response times, and vibrant visuals that look amazing for gaming and content, and you get all of that for a much lower price. That is what makes it so compelling. Not because it beats the ASUS, but because it gets very close where it actually counts. So should you spend more on an expensive OLED monitor? only if you clearly understand what those extra upgrades mean for you. If you want maximum brightness, better HDR, a more premium build, and top-tier refresh rates, then yes, the ASUS ROG Swift OLED makes sense. But if you just want an incredible OLED monitor without overspending, the AOC Q27G4 OLED is very hard to ignore. Because in the end, this is not a choice between bad and good. It's a choice between excellent and slightly more refined. And for most people, paying 2 or 3 times more for that last bit of improvement simply does not make sense. That is the real takeaway. With OLED, the biggest upgrade is getting OLED in the first place. Before you spend your money, ask yourself one thing. Will you actually notice the difference? Or just pay more? Because that's where most people get it wrong. Don't chase the best on paper. Choose what actually makes a difference, because the smartest upgrade is knowing what not to pay for and subscribe for more.